WDW Fan Zone show. Tonight, we hear the latest in all the world of Disney, along with D23, the announcements, our thoughts, where they're going, where they're headed, and we're going to get into it right now, almost. First, I want to introduce Jess, Darlene, Kurt, John, and myself, Stuart. And now we're going to turn it over to Jess with the latest Walt Disney World news.
Hello, everybody. All right, so I'm going to start with the regular news first, and then I'll get into the D23 news that we are all so excited to talk about today. All right, so for food news, in Germany and Epcot, Caramel Couche introduced the pumpkin spice butter bar for $4.99. Over at Magic Kingdom for merchandise, the Mickey Mouse skeleton popcorn bucket is now on sale. And a lot more is coming for Halloween merchandise as well. On Disney Plus news, this is very exciting. On October 1st at 9:30 a.m., Toy Story will be taking over the Falcons and Jaguars NFL game from inside the Toy Story universe. And this will be on Disney Plus, ESPN Plus, and NFL Plus. And so for the halftime show, Duke Kaboom will attempt a motorcycle jump. So very exciting. We'll get to see the Toy Story characters playing this Falcons Jaguars game in London, and they're gonna kind of be like superimposed over the actual NFL players. So that is something very crazy that we're all very excited to see. I'm going to skip ahead to the park hours now, and I'll do the D23 announcements after this. So we have, since it is today, Tuesday, that we are recording this, I will give the park hours from Wednesday till next Thursday. And so Magic Kingdom on Wednesday and Thursday, 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. with a Halloween party from 7 to 12. Saturday from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. Sunday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. with a Halloween party 7 to 12. Monday, 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. Tuesday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. with a Halloween party from 7 to 12. And Wednesday and Thursday from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. Epcot and Hollywood Studios, both from tomorrow, Wednesday, to next week, Thursday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Animal Kingdom, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Saturday and Sunday, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. And Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Typhoon Lagoon, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day, Wednesday to next Thursday. Blizzard Beach is closed. Boardwalk every day, 6:30 a.m. to 10 p.m. And Disney Springs every day, 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. with Friday and Saturday until 11:30 p.m. The weather, expect highs in the high 80s and low 90s and lows in the mid 70s. There is a 40 to 60% chance of afternoon thunderstorms every day. It is summer, and that, of course, can change, so pack your ponchos and sunscreen. And now I will announce the D23 announcements for 2023. And then we are going to have a little chat about them as well. So, for Magic Kingdom announcements, the Hatbox Ghost is coming to Magic Kingdom, just like I promised, and that is coming to the Haunted Mansion in late November. A new show for Country Bear Jamboree is a new act with new music, and it will be next year in 2024, and it will be called a Country Bear Musical Jamboree. There's a new bar possibly coming to Adventureland in Magic Kingdom near the Pirates of the Caribbean. And last year, there was a project mentioned about an expansion in Magic Kingdom. And it was brought up again about Big Thunder Mountain and how there's a lot of room to play with, quotes. But Disney has a long way to go with their ideas. All right, for the Epcot announcements, World Celebration in Epcot is opening in December 2023. Figment is now meeting guests at the Imagination Pavilion, and very exciting over there. So, right. Oh, I skipped one. Luminous is a new show, a nighttime fireworks show that will be debuting at Epcot on December 5th, 2023. On October 16th, we will have our opening date for Journey of Water, and Moana will be there to celebrate with you. And also remember that annual pass holders and DVC previews are September 24th through 29th and October 1st through 4th with a park reservation. Asha from the new film Wish will be coming to Epcot for a meet and greet, as well as Disneyland and Disneyland Paris. Test Track is planning to be completely reimagined with the inspiration from the original World of Motion. Soarin' over California will return to Epcot for a limited time starting September 22nd. All right, for Hollywood Studios announcements, an Ahsoka scene is coming to Star Tours next spring in Disney's Hollywood Studios, as well as the other global Star Tours attractions. And then for Animal Kingdom announcements, a new Zootopia show will be replacing It's Tough to Be a Bug in the Tree of Life Theater. I also heard that this will not be scary for young children. Dinoland USA is planning to be reimagined to a new land inspired by the tropical Americas, and Encanto and Indiana Jones are being considered for the theming. And finally, for the announcements, Disney Cruise Line has confirmed its new island in Lighthouse Point, and that will be called Lookout Key at Lighthouse Point. A 3-night preview cruise on the Disney Magic will be out of Fort Lauderdale on June 6th, 2024. All right, that is all I have for the news.
All right, thank you, Jess.
There's one other piece that was announced too for Disney Cruise Line. They've announced the name of the new ship, which will be the Disney Adventure coming out.
Yeah. Also with Disney Cruise Line, they purchased another ship. It was a cruise line, I think, and I forgot where, overseas somewhere, that went out of business. They purchased the ship. And
Singapore?
Yeah, I think it was Singapore. I'm not positive. And they're reimagining it now. So that's another thing to look forward to from Disney Cruise Line. All right. So tonight, we're going to go through the announcements. I don't know how you guys feel here and those watching and listening to us out there, but we're going to give our opinions on what we think of each announcement, and we'll go. And I know, Jess, you have to run soon. So
I would like to share a couple opinions if that's okay.
Please, go first.
I think the biggest thing, and I don't know if there was more for me, the biggest thing for me was the potential bar coming to Adventureland. Now, is this like?
I thought that would be Darlene's big thing.
Well, the lounge. It's going to be
a lounge. So, are they going to be serving alcohol in Magic Kingdom now? Is that like going to be, or is it going to be for exclusive parties, or like what's? I don't know. Has anybody heard anything more specific?
The only thing that they said was that a new Pirates of the Caribbean themed lounge is coming to Adventureland at Magic Kingdom, Florida. This is the first of its kind experience. Will extend the story of the Pirates of the Caribbean. Imagineers are in the design process, and more details will come in the future.
Don't be surprised if they're serving mocktails instead of.
I know, right? That was my thinking. I was like, oh, it's probably just going to be mocktails.
I was thinking, maybe they would, but you still won't be able to walk around with them. If they do allow it, it'll be like Be Our Guest and Plaza Restaurant now and Cinderella's Royal Table.
Skipper's.
Oh, they have alcohol at those places?
They do.
I thought it was just the party, the dessert party.
Oh yeah, no. Mm-mm.
Okay, so and you can't leave with them.
No, you can't walk around the park with them. No.
So it's probably going to be the same thing then.
That's what I would think.
It's the wrong park for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
I agree.
John.
Oh, well, I'm mocktails are good by me. I'm fine if they keep it in the thing. I do like how they said that it extends the story.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
it seems like it's going to have a strong tie to the theming, to the story. So it's certainly something very exciting to me to see how that turns out.
Yeah. Jess, was there anything else you wanted to mention?
I'm excited about the test track reimagination.
Yep.
I'm hoping that actually happens.
Mhm.
I was one of the people who I got a tour of the original test track because it was supposed to open in like 96 or something, didn't open until I don't know 97, 98.
Mhm.
And so we were kind of standing around and they took us on a tour inside, and I remember I was only like 9 or 10 at the time, but I'm excited to see this hopefully come, because I do remember World of Motion, not vividly, but I do remember it, and I think that'd be really cool to experience that.
Yeah, I agree.
If
It'll
they
be
even
great.
do it.
I don't know how they're going to
How-
bring it back to World of Motion, but go ahead, Kurt.
A show of hand of how many people's hearts just sank when she said she was 9 or 10 during that interview.
He's such
And
a-
I do have vivid memories of World
I'm
of
so
Motion.
old, nothing phases me.
Oh gosh, Jess.
I'm a baby, I know.
Yes.
But I mean, it wasn't. It was pretty long ago.
Yeah.
Yes,
Well,
yes. Anything else?
And the other thing I was really excited about, I think we may have discussed this before, but Indiana Jones
Mm-hmm.
being considered for theming for dinosaur, and I think that is probably the only logical way
Yeah.
you can retheme that ride
Yeah.
is to have
I agree.
something that they've already done.
It's same track, same
Yes.
vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
Why else would they include Indiana Jones in that area?
If anybody saw the display or diagram that they showed, the temple is right where Dinosaur is.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, is that to cause Disney fans to speculate on what will be there, or will it be there? And I think there's a good chance that will be there.
They could do an updated storyline of Indiana
they could.
Jones.
Sure. Yeah.
But at least they have the animatronics for it.
Yeah.
So the molds are there already. So that saves them a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be friendlier for some of the smaller kids than, the darkness and the the scariness of the dinosaurs. Even some adults.
Although for the 6-year-olds in the group, my son is 6 and he loves the dinosaur ride because I mean it's rooted in like history, I guess. Like there's some factual
diehard dinosaur fans are going to love it. I think there's more younger kids that would be comfortable with the Indiana Jones than with dinosaur.
Yeah. Now,
I know, I agree with that.
If they go through everything they said they were going, they might do. The Boneyard will be gone. How do you guys feel about that?
I noticed that. The whole thing's going to be rethemed. So
there doesn't make sense to be any dinosaur. Well, they're retheming Dino Land to tropical Americas,
and that makes sense.
And you guys know how I felt about Chester and Hester's. I thought it was so out of place for a Disney World park, and I guess they finally realized, it is out of place.
I will miss Sue if they take Sue away.
I'm sure they will. They'll probably put a little remnant of Sue somewhere.
And I'm sure they're going to retheme the restaurant too that we liked. But that's okay.
I will bet you the restaurant stays the same, just with a different theming. When I say it stays the same, the food will be the same.
And then what about Finding Nemo? Is that going to stay there?
Yeah,
right.
That's going to stay.
If they do kind of an archaeology thing with Indiana Jones, the Dino Dig site,
yeah,
they can still dig. They're just retheming it from dinosaurs to something else.
Yeah, and they might put it someplace else. In the same area.
But now, was I not saying bring Zootopia to Animal Kingdom? I've been saying it for the longest time. and they're bringing it in. They're just putting it in the Tree of Life.
I
don't like that.
I honestly thought they were going to give Zootopia its own land in Animal Kingdom.
I thought so too, but I think they have to. They probably do have to redo the seats and everything in the theater and that. And this would be the best time to retheme that.
Now, what I heard was that the new Zootopia show, where its Bugs Life is going to be like just in. What do you call that? I just lost the word.
Animatronics?
No, not animatronics. It's going to image projections. I hope it's more than that. And knowing that they're redoing that theater to do a Zootopia, I think it will be more than that.
I think it's probably just a misunderstanding somewhere.
Yeah, I agree, John. I agree with you.
Yeah.
They just said basically you'd be visiting lands that they briefly touched on in the movie.
Yeah, as part of the story of the movie.
Yeah,
right. They put in there. Yeah.
And
the other interactive features, though, too. It's going to be I think it's going to be a weird balance because it's still a tree. Mm-hmm. They're not going to. It doesn't make sense to change the inside of it from a tree. And by the way, I'm really going to miss hearing Beauty and the Bees, but
yeah.
But so it still has to be a tree.
Yeah.
I like John. I don't feel like it. It doesn't feel like it fits there.
Certainly not as cleanly as It's Tough to Be a Bug. I understand it's tough to be a bug. I'm okay that it's time to replace it, but I agree it's not as natural a fit.
Yeah, I think John said it perfectly. I think it's Tough to Be a Bug has seen better days, but
to get more people to go through it. I mean, I love It's Tough to Be a Bug. I really do.
Oh yeah,
personally,
we grew up with it.
Yeah.
I love the gags. I love the animatronics. I love the movie, and I love the maggots and everything leaving the theater first.
Yeah, I think it doesn't relate as well to younger children these days because they didn't grow up with it like our kids did or we did.
Oh yeah, and a Bug's Life is not the one of the highest ranked. It's one of the lower ranked Pixar films.
Correct.
I love it, Bug's Life personally, but
I agree.
For the broad, Disney audience, it doesn't hit well enough anymore, and so I understand.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now they're talking about Encanto going to Animal Kingdom. Mm-hmm. That was supposed to be part of the expansion in Magic Kingdom, according to their Blue Sky. So now they're saying, well, maybe it's going to be an expansion of a Villain's Land there and possibly a Haunted Mansion restaurant there.
Well, that's not anything that they discussed at D23, though.
No.
That's
speculation.
Supposition on the part of Disney fans. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Just to let everybody know, I did speak to several Disney fans after this. Some that were there, some that watched it live. And I'm not going to go into what the consensus was because I've been overruled by these guys before the show. But that's what people are thinking. It's like, and where does Coco fit in?
Coco's in Mexico.
No, Coco, but they were talking about putting it in Animal Kingdom possibly or Magic Kingdom. The fans were that. So,
Disney Treasure.
Yeah. Well,
it's Disney Treasure.
Yeah.
On the cruise line.
I know they're going to find a place for Coco somewhere besides Epcot. Mm-hmm. They'll do something there. A lot of people wanted a Frozen Land. That's not happening. You've got the Frozen show in Norway in Epcot. You've got the other show in Hollywood Studios.
Yeah.
They can't spread it all over the place.
No.
And they realize that.
Yeah.
And it's good that they're using different movies now, like Encanto and Zootopia. And I mean, the Pirates is still a very big moneymaker for them.
Someone brought this up to me, and I don't want to get off track here, right? But I do want to mention it because I think it fits with what they're doing in the parks. They really haven't had any big hits lately. They've oversaturated the market with Marvel. Star Wars kind of the same thing. And this isn't coming from me. I'm just relaying what I've heard from someone who, I value their opinion, who I will keep nameless. So it's like I think they're struggling with the direction they're going in, which might. And when I say the direction they're going in, I don't mean the direction they're going in. They're struggling with. They know the direction they're going in. I think they're struggling a little bit to what they can put in that could be sustainable for more than just a year or two.
So that's why they're investing.
That's always the challenge. So they're kind of left with following up with things that are popular. And so Zootopia, Encanto,
Frozen,
very, very popular. And they continue to be popular. 15 years from now, are they going to be as popular? It depends on what else, are there other movies that come out? So they're always challenged with that. Mm-hmm. It's nigh on impossible to put something out there immediately.
And everybody's expecting them to take one of their movies or hit shows and turn into an attraction. They don't necessarily have to do that. Mm-hmm. And I think that thinking, while it may be valid in many aspects, may not be completely where they're going. We don't know. They could have a movie coming out a year or two from now that could turn into the greatest hit they've had since Frozen. We just don't know.
Yeah. Look at it. I mean,
like I said, I didn't want to get off topic here.
Yeah. What I was going to say though is that the Bug's Life did come out at the same. I'm sorry, It's Tough to Be a Bug did come out at the same time as A Bug's Life did.
Yep.
And it's lasted this long.
Yeah.
Yes, it was a perfect timing and a perfect situation. Mm-hmm. But I would love to see them come out with something new that has nothing to do with a movie.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about The Haunted Mansion, Pirates of the Caribbean, Jungle Cruise. All three came out before their movie did.
Yep.
And some people don't realize that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep, that's absolutely true.
I have a fun little fact. Why can't I think of his name? The guy who voiced the bug in It's Tough to Be a Bug.
Which bug?
Flick.
Okay.
Oh goodness. He was on a show.
Dave Foley.
Dave Foley.
Dave Foley was in Disney recording the voice for It's Tough to Be a Bug. And he was at SpectroMagic one night, and I was sitting there with his family. And then my dad knew it was Dave Foley, and I was hanging out with his kids and stuff. And then he's like, "Oh, he must be recording something for Animal Kingdom." And so we kind of put that together. That's why he was there. So that was fun.
Yeah.
It was probably around 1997, 1996, same time there.
I was going to say, was it the same
that
trip?
10-year-old kid over there.
Yeah.
Forgive me, I forgot the guy's name, but the person was in charge of Imagineering that left when Chapek took over his back at Disney. And I think that is a big deal for Imagineering. I think that's a positive move. And I'm hoping, he's bringing it into another direction. That the reason, a lot of people that I spoke with said if, like last year, the Destination D23 fell short on actual projects that are going to happen as opposed to could be. But I think with the head of Imagineering returning, I think we might see them move slowly, but moving forward where these might happen, actually happening.
Well, they did say it's going to take 10 years to get everything that they want to do done. And this was just the beginning.
Money's an issue too. It's the parks are making money and not much else right now for Disney, but they're not the only ones suffering. And
would you want to disrupt all four parks at the same time with the degree of changes they're talking about?
Yeah.
Right. It's going to be one at a time.
Yeah. Look at how long it's taken them to finish Journey of Water, Nature and Celebration.
Yeah, I don't understand that, but on some levels, but on other levels, I do understand why.
It was very strategic.
Yeah.
When you walk through Journey of Water, when we go, that'll be one of our days that we do our thing.
Yeah.
you'll understand probably more of why it took so long.
Mhm.
And that
Details.
I will be there. Darlene, you going the same day? I will be there on the 25th of September.
Okay, I guess I will book that day. You will be too?
Thank you, Jess. Have a good
No,
night.
I'm leaving.
Okay.
All right, everyone. See you
Thanks,
real
Jess.
soon.
Good night.
See you real soon.
Yeah, so I don't know what time we'll be there, but Darlene, hopefully you'll be able to book it. So if anybody wants to meet up with us there, we'll be happy to say hello. And
I will do it right now.
okay. That's the first reservation I've made in a park in months because I usually go after 2 or, I hate the reservation system, but we're not talking about that tonight. So anyway, I love the fact that they're reimagining Test Track. I hate.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't want to say I hate the new version. Comparing it to the original, I hate it. Do I like the attraction? I love the attraction.
There's no story to it though anymore.
Yeah.
No depth in their story. Let me rephrase that. It's very weak.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm so well. I think this points out something pretty important about the nature of these announcements. So we were talking about some of the newer and popular properties that they have and how they're going to be leveraging them, but they're also leaning into their more long-term established things like Country Bear Jamboree, World of Motion.
Mhm.
So they're looking at both sides.
Yes,
they're looking at the more historical things, and then they're also looking at things that are more popular. So and looking at the demographics, they're trying to provide something that's good for a younger audience as well as more mature audience like ourselves.
Now, guys, correct me if I'm wrong. With Country Bear Jamboree, they're going to use Disney songs with
the whole thing.
country version.
Right.
Now,
Different
how many of you
country
approve of the changes? I bet you I know one who's not going to. Just raise your hand if you approve of the changes. I'm the only one raising their hand.
I called my sister with that, and the first thing I told her was, take my mom's ashes off the shelf before she falls off the shelf. As we start to discuss this, because that's where she's at. The proverbial rolling over in your grave. I don't know how she feels about that if she were still with us. They tried already twice. They did the Christmas, they did the summer hoedown, and neither of them came back. So if they can do something with AI as far as keeping the voice the same, maybe that might help a little bit. Because when those voices changed, I mean, we don't have Tex Ritter with us anymore. So when those voices changed, I mean, Big Al is Big Al. Need that gruff.
So according to what I read in the Disney Parks blog, it says that Disney Imagineer Chris Batty is on stage with Josh. The show debuts. The Bears will be reinterpreting favorite Disney songs in different genres of country music. Imagineers are envisioning a new experience as a homage to the classic musical reviews in Nashville. And they're working with Nashville musicians.
Correct.
To get it more authentic. So
that's why I'm cautiously optimistic.
Yeah.
I'm open-minded about it. I think it needs to be revised to be a little more contemporary, but still have the feel, the lighthearted, funny feel,
right,
of what we've always enjoyed.
Right.
Yeah. You know what I'd like to see them do? They're not going to, but I'd like to see them do this. Take the original show if they can, put that someplace in Fort Wilderness where the guests staying there can have, put in a restaurant there where the guests can go see a show while they're eating, and then change it the way they're planning on changing it in Magic Kingdom. So you're keeping the old, the old show for people like Kurt who absolutely love it. It's a cherished memory for someone like Kurt, but at the same time, you're updating it for the parks, where you'll probably get many more guests coming in to see the show.
So our 18-minute politically incorrect show is what you're saying? Mama, don't whoop little Buford?
This is the perennial challenge that Disney has.
Yeah.
And Walt would say, I'm sorry, I don't know what Walt would say. My guess is that Walt would say, if he came in and saw how many things that were still in the park that were there since day one, he'd say, why hasn't that changed?
Yep, I agree. I agree.
But he didn't have to be here for 50 years and understand how people become attached to those things.
Correct.
That's true. I also think he'd be rolling over his grave with some of the things that are going on.
Well, you know what he'd say? That didn't work. Let's try something else.
Right.
Yeah.
I am excited about that Hatbox Ghost. I mean, that's going to, update Haunted Mansion a little bit. They were supposed to bring it in, but that's what I heard. I don't know if
I thought it was June or July it was supposed to be here.
Yeah, it was supposed to be here already, and then I heard they were going to push it.
They held it up. Yeah, they held it up partway along.
Yeah, I thought for sure it would be open for the Halloween parties.
Yeah, next year.
November. No, it's coming November.
No, November.
So next year it'll be here for
of all the
it will be here for next year, right?
Yeah. Of all the announcements, which one were you most excited about, and which one were you not or least excited about?
Lukewarm about.
Yeah, lukewarm. Good way to put it.
Most excited about Test Track.
Yep.
Because they were very specific on what they were doing with that.
Yeah.
So that one I enjoyed hearing.
Yeah, and I think the one I'm least excited about is Zootopia in the Tree of Life.
I agree.
Yeah, as much as I love the movie Zootopia, and I love the lands of Zootopia, but like we said, it doesn't feel like a natural fit.
No.
I don't know what that would be doing inside of a tree. Yeah. So with all the animals, you're not going to recarve the roots. All those animals.
They're not going to do that.
Well, but the animals that are carved there now don't relate to the. It's tough to be a bug story,
right?
But how do you make Zootopia fit into a tree?
There are so many animals in Zootopia.
Oh yeah,
when they're going through the different lands, that I think that's why they picked the Tree of Life.
They're more comic book to me, though, the characters, than
they're
anthropomorphized,
right?
You know why I think they picked the Tree of Life to put Zootopia there? Because they didn't want to take up space someplace else in that park, because they have other plans for the other spaces, and that was the only place. And they could,
and Zootopia,
that too, Kurt.
They can't fit a whole new land of Zootopia, or they at least decided they weren't going to make Dino Land a Zootopia land.
Right.
Yeah, I know there are some people that are disappointed about that, but I think if what they're planning on doing in Animal Kingdom, where Dino Land comes to fruition, I think that is better suited for that park than a Zootopia land, as much as I like Zootopia.
And it might be less upheaval to the land.
Yeah, think about it. 10, 20 years from now, when people will forget about Zootopia. When I say people, I mean little kids that are being born now. But if you have something that is more like Encanto is a major hit for them, and that will continue to be like, Cinderella. We weren't born when Cinderella came out, or Pinocchio, and those are classics to us. Encanto is going to be that classic for the newer generations coming up. And that might change in theming somewhere down the road too, but I think it has more longevity than putting a Zootopia there. And they're going to surround it with, what was it? Something Americas, Darlene. Do you remember?
Tropical Americas?
Yeah, I forgot. But
Yeah,
like a
tropical
Central American theme.
Americas.
Yeah, that could be South America, it could be North. Yeah, there's so
Well,
much.
But I think you point something out there though too. One of the challenges with Zootopia becoming the land instead of Dino Land is it's not about nature; it's about an invented nature.
Mhm. Right.
Whereas the tropical Americas is more grounded in real life.
Yep.
And it's still, Indiana Jones is not real life, and Kanto is not real life, but the environments are.
Yeah.
So I
Correct.
think it's more of a natural fit. And I think a lot of the fans, or there were fans that were not happy with Dino Land is, it's a great whimsical land, but it's not. There's a lot of fans that didn't think it fit in Animal Kingdom.
Yeah.
Correct. And with Indiana Jones, you are looking at an archaeologist that was going through they were in Chile in the very first scene going for the fertility idol. So you can do things like that and still make it fit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it can probably.
I would love to see that there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think John's right. Disney has a lot of challenges in where they're placing, and there's never going to be a true fit for some of these things.
They still have to bring fans in. They still have to make
Mhm.
money. They and balance to try to make the most people happy, including the people that are investing in.
Now, I don't remember where I heard this, but it came from somebody at the top of Disney World. One of the executives who had mentioned, and somewhere that they were reimagining attractions that exist rather than building new attractions because budget reasons for one.
It's more cost effective.
And right, it's cost effective, and it's something they have there that already exists that they can work with rather than have to tear something down and rebuild it from scratch.
I'm
Which
interested
might
to
take a lot
see-
longer to get up and going for the fans or guests.
I'm interested to see how Tiana's is going to look with using the same flume ride and stuff, but redesigning that because that's a huge project in itself.
Yes, it is.
Yes. And did you know that they're putting a whole Zootopia land in Shanghai?
Right.
Yeah, I did know that.
So they wouldn't do that here. They're trying to keep it where it's a little different. So they're just throwing it in here because they probably have the footprint for whatever they're planning for the Tree of Life with that.
You also have to remember that I don't know if it's Shanghai, Tokyo, if all the overseas, not Paris, we're not going to include Paris in this, but the overseas Disney parks, are privately funded as well, or funded.
The Asian parks.
Yeah.
The Oriental
Land Company.
Yep.
Yes. Building company, wherever that is.
So there's more money available there than there is here.
Now, also realize we can't say that just because they're building it over there, they can't build it here. But it's in two parks.
Yeah, they can and they will when they feel it fits.
Let's see how it works.
Yeah.
Tron, Light Cycle.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's right. That was over there first.
Yeah, that's true.
Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, Toy Story Midway Mania.
Midway Mania.
I'm okay not having original attractions come here as long as they come here and fit here and are well received. Remy's is another one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and if you guys think about it, raise your hand if you ever think you're really going to make it all the way across the world and see all the parks in the world. It's just not going to. A handful of people are going to be going overseas that and see all those attractions.
The older I get, my bucket list, if you change the B in front of bucket and put an F there, it's becoming more.
Oh, boy.
I do have a bucket list. It's not as long as it once was, but it's there.
I'm down to 3 parks to go, but I don't know.
John,
that I'm get I don't know that I'm going to get to any of those 3 parks.
I have no doubt you will get there. All it takes is a Lou Mangello adventure by Disney, and John will be.
Oh no!
Speaking of which, he announced 2 cruises: a Halloween cruise next October. I think it was the 21st,
October
25th, or 6th.
21st to 26th. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he also announced a treasure cruise in February of 25. Ah,
There's the list.
yeah. Yeah,
Send me that list so I can do my call-in.
So those are being, those are through Mass Fan Travel, those group cruises. So if anybody's interested, you can contact Mass Fan Travel, who, by the way, is our
Recommended.
Preferred.
Our preferred. That's the word I was looking for. Our preferred travel planner. So whether it's Walt Disney World, Disneyland, someplace else you want to go, any kind of vacation you want to do, Mouse Fan Travel is the place to go. Great deals, great prices. Go to Mouse Fan Travel. That's www.mousefantravel.com, www.mousefantravel.com. So it's. I think the biggest challenge Disney has right now is getting the other parts of the corporation profitable, so they have the money to keep that the parks are making to keep in the parks to facilitate what they're doing. Now, I know Bob Iger said, I think, what was it, last year? They had, 25 billion over the next 10 years to spend. That, whether that has to get reallocated someplace else for other reasons, or they have more money, we don't know what's going to happen. That was the projections, but that was before, or that was in the first stages of the fight with someone in the state who's in the government, at the head of the government here in the state of Florida. So I don't know if that's affecting anything here. It shouldn't be, but we'll see.
Well, my guess is that they're taking that into account. They've already had discussions about holding up on investment because of those differences going on there. Yeah. But this does seem like they're starting to move forward. So I think it may have affected it, but they're starting to move forward now.
You've got to think, though, the people that are paying the money to go to these D23 events are expecting the moon, and they're getting the sidewalk.
Well, they did announce actually things that are happening this year, though, and it did help that they were getting it by saying you're doing something at Test Track, including with GM. You've got sponsorship.
Yep.
That's going to happen.
Yep.
And that's the difference. And it doesn't take it takes a lot of work to reprogram the bears, but they're all there. All they have to do is reprogram the bears. Yep. You know what I mean? So it's going to take less money to do those two projects than it will for building Tiana's attraction.
Yeah.
I basically gutting the inside and starting over.
Yep, I completely agree. But for the fan that's paying all that money going to these conventions, do you think Disney and the fans are listening to each other and understanding where each other is coming from? Because the expectations seem to be way off.
I think that's just a small part of D23, though. Because they went and saw a lot of, the voice actors were there talking back and forth about stuff, and there was other things.
No, but I'm talking about the expectations with the parks. I don't think it's there right now. I don't think you can fully blame Disney, and I don't think you can fully blame the fans for it not being in sync. I think because of what happened last year, it threw everything off, and it's a slow process to come back together.
Well, and we don't know. There's no guarantee that D23 is going to continue.
No, we don't. And
actually, D23 has been already talked about for next year being in a week.
They haven't answered.
But long term, D23 as a group of Disney and fan communities, there's what's to say that is going to continue long term. Right. It could change.
Right.
Look, just for example, and I know this is a bad analogy, but I'm going to give it anyway. Look at the cable industry now. What's going on now? There are more Americans now that have cut the cord than there are cable subscribers. If you told somebody that 10, 15 years ago that would happen now, they'd tell you you're crazy, because cable was it. So anything can happen. I think John's right. It could last for 20, 30 years. It could last forever, or it could be done in 2 or 3 years. We don't
was
know.
it was it Netflix that was the first streaming company where everyone was kind of like,
Yeah, I think so.
I think it was. And then Prime came after that with Amazon, I believe.
Yeah. But the point I think John's making is correct. I mean, we don't know. It's working now for them, and as long as it works, they'll continue to do it. As long as it's popular, I should say. But things in the industry could change. Do you really need a D23 convention to get your point across and make announcements? No. And I think in a couple of years from now, we'll start seeing announcements thrown out there outside of the convention to excite Disney fans.
It's not the same.
No, it's not.
We talked about that with work. I was just talking about that with someone today. They said a lot of companies are starting to call people back into work because they're not getting the same think tank when you're working from home as you are when you're actually sitting there bouncing ideas off of each other. And it's kind of the same thing. When something's being announced, it's more exciting when you're there than it is just hearing, how we're hearing about it.
You know, Kurt, I agree with you. When I work, and I was given the opportunity with not my last job, but one of my jobs to work from home, I always preferred going into the office than working at home because I felt I was more productive. My daughter, who is 20-something, prefers to work from home. She finds she is more productive at home. I think it's different generations look at it differently. You know, like my generation, you know, I want to be in the office. I want to see people. I want to communicate things face to face. I don't want to go on a computer and, you know, email somebody. I'd rather talk to them directly so they understand where I'm coming from and not misread what's written down.
Right. Well, you're one generation in front of me, but come on, when the Intellivision and the Atari came out, we were sitting right next to our friends. We could punch them and grab their controller and stuff from them. Now you can't do that because they each need their own computer, so they get the whole screen for the games that they're playing. So yes, that has changed a lot. When I, say to my son, "Oh, you going to somebody's house?" No, we're just talking together online. There's not the personal interaction as much as there used to be.
I completely agree.
And that's part of the problem with.
Yep.
That's where D23 is nice. You can actually go there and see the people that are behind the scenes and interact with the people behind the scenes.
I don't think we're saying that, and John, I don't think you meant that either, that it's going to go away. But we don't know. We can't forecast the future to know how long it's going to be around.
Yeah, there's certainly good reasons for continuing to do the things that they're doing.
Yep, absolutely.
But there are other forces and factors that can impact it too. So it certainly seems like they're trying to reestablish their footing. I think they've made progress since last year. And so I think it'll be telling how do things look next year, because that's more of a trend versus, just the last two.
For those of you who are watching us, I'm just going to put my hands up. I think right now Disney is up here with their ideas on what they want to do and may do. And the fans are here with their expectations. And I'm going to say there's about there's a wide, and not terribly wide gap, but there's a wide gap. I think Disney over the next few years will close that gap. And I think the reason stems from last year. Everybody was so disappointed that nothing was announced for Walt Disney World, that it's a slow climb back in. They can't just come out and say, we're doing this, this, and this. Because you know what? They might not know yet. They might have a good idea, but they might not be ready to take that step forward.
When D23 came out last year, wasn't that when Iger had just came back?
No,
it was before.
There.
It was before. Yeah, because he didn't
come
back.
Iger wasn't even back yet?
No, not yet.
And there was the issue was you had someone at the helm who was not dealing anything with the parks and really didn't care that much about the parks.
Yeah.
Which is why everyone's like, what are you doing? We're the only one making money. Why aren't you caring about us?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the current Bob's quite heavily engaged with a lot of things right now.
Yeah.
So we can't, in other words, it feels like we're comparing apples and oranges right now.
Yes.
So what are some of the things are there any things that surprised you about some of the announcements? Or came out of left field, or
I thought there would be more announcements than there were. What those announcements could have been, I don't know. I don't want to speculate on what I would have liked to have seen and what they did, but I understand why they didn't.
You don't think that these were a lot of announcements?
I think there could have been. I think there could have been more concrete announcements. Let's put it that way. Like with Test Track, with the Country Bears, I think they could have. You know, they keep talking about the expansion of Magic Kingdom. I would have liked to have heard more about what they plan on doing. Are they going?
They're trying to play kind of mum on that because of what's going on with.
Like I said, I understand why they didn't say more, but I would have liked to. I would have, as a Disney fan, I would have liked to have heard more.
I would have liked to have heard more of something new happening with Figment than just, hey, tomorrow's going to be the meet and greet. We knew the meet and greet was coming.
Yep. I forgot about that one. Yeah.
Okay, no, so we knew the meet and greet was coming. Great. Yes, Figment's coming out. He might trip a couple times as he's coming out, but Figment's coming out. And what about the attraction? I know they did a voice actor thing where they had him talking as Dreamfinder and Figment, and they had the two voices up there for that they use. It would have been nice to hear, by the way, we're also looking at reimagining how to do the attraction.
Yeah.
Something with that attraction.
I completely forgot about that. You're right. That's something I really wanted them to do this year, was finally say, okay, we're moving forward with the reimagination of the Imagination.
It's certainly one I think that a lot of fans keep waiting to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. I was surprised to hear them announce that Soarin' Over California was coming back.
Yeah.
For a limited time as part of the Disney 100 years, but
that was a surprise.
But that's a good surprise, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what I'd like to see them do, and I don't know how easy it would be, and it's probably why they haven't done it, is have rotating between 3 or 4 different things in Soarin' where you can not know what you're getting. It could be California, it could be the world, it could be Florida. You know, it's Soaring around Florida.
They do it with Star Tours. They could do it there.
Yeah,
they can do. All they got to do is the programming is this, and you have the multiple scents that are in there.
But could that
just pop out the scent that comes out?
By changing that each time, could that cause the mechanics and the attraction to break down faster?
It doesn't on Star Tours.
I don't know the engineering part of it. I'm not,
because they're smooth moving with Soarin' is all smooth moving. They got jarring stuff going on with Star Tours, and no two rides. What is it? 52 different. When they first reopened it was 52 different combinations. It's more than that now.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're able to reprogram that thing every time they go out, there's no reason why they couldn't do that with Soaring, and it would be a simple thing to do. And those are digital videos that they're showing now. It's not. I don't think it's the IMAX actual film anymore, is it?
I don't think so. I think it is digital now. But
I'm not sure it's gone to digital now. So with that, hey, anything is possible. That would be awesome. Give us a random.
Don, what was your hit and miss?
What was my hit and miss?
Yeah, for the announcements.
Well, I kind of agreed with you and Kurt were talking about it. I mean, the reimagining of Test Track and leaning more back into the story of World of Motion really hit home with me. I'm really excited about that. And as we discussed, as much as I like Zootopia the movie, it's a little awkward for putting it into the Tree of Life for me.
Yeah.
But the other thing that caught me by surprise, or I think kind of stands out, is there's nothing big for Hollywood Studios. And not that they haven't invested a lot there over the last 5 to 10 years, but there was nothing big. I mean, the only thing they have is Ahsoka appearing in a scene in Star Tours, and that's it.
Correct.
Well, with everything I've said, by the way, Kurt, it's IMAX digital projection in Soarin'.
So it is digital. It's IMAX digital. Got it. Okay.
I was not, of all the things that I've said that I expected and didn't happen, the one thing I didn't expect that didn't happen was a major announcement in Hollywood studios.
Conspiracy theory. Ready? Conspiracy, because I thought about this while we were talking about it. If Indiana Jones finds its way into Animal Kingdom, does the attraction of Disney Hollywood Studios go away?
Probably
and there's your
not.
big open area.
The stunt show.
So if they were to move that stunt show and put something else in there instead, because it's kind of on its island of its own right now.
Yeah, but you know what? That's still pretty popular, and it's a guest eater.
It really is. So what is it? 2,000 people that fit in there?
Yeah. I could see that happening down the road, but not in the next few years.
Well, no, it's going to take a while. It's going to be a long while, but maybe that would be why we weren't hearing anything.
Well, so here's an interesting question. I don't believe this, but what if they swapped Nemo, Finding Nemo the musical, and the Indiana Jones stunt show?
Nemo's now indoors, so that wouldn't work too well.
That's one of the big reasons I don't think they do it, is because it would take too much change to make that happen. But thematically, I think it would fit.
Yeah,
that would fit thematically. I don't think they're going to redo that stunt show.
I don't think
it's getting a bit stale.
Yeah, no, I'm not as. I agree with you, Stuart, that it eats a lot of people, and it makes it very difficult to take that away, and not have a place for people to go while the park is undergoing change. But I think they're going to have to sometime. I mean, there's no more Indiana Jones. The Dial of Destiny didn't go over well. So
great movie though.
I want to see it. I'm probably not going to see it till it comes out in Disney Plus. But
same here.
Everybody dies.
Too.
That was in the 1940s or 50s, so I'm guessing they do. Yeah.
I can see Indiana Jones stunt show disappearing and something coming to that, and then making a new land there after whatever they have planned for Animal Kingdom is completed. And that could be, God knows how, it could be 5-10 years from now.
Yeah.
Because they still have that full empty building too.
All back by the Star Wars launch bay. Yep. All that area, that entire area in that courtyard.
The animation courtyard.
That's where I was going. Yeah, there is no more animation courtyard, and I could see them doing something there before they do the Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular.
Yeah.
Saying goodbye to that.
The Little Mermaid, I think they need to do something there.
That's in that animation courtyard. Yeah. And even if they do Disney Junior and still keep it for the littler kids, that would be great. I'm sure they could figure out something with all the Disney, Junior stuff that they have.
I think they need to do a Muppet Stunt Spectacular.
A lot of people were hoping for a major Muppet announcement at this convention, and nothing came. And I don't know.
Why are the Muppets on the stage? They're not even doing it.
I thought for sure there was going to be with the Muppets on the stage.
I think the Muppet. If you ever see Muppet Vision 3D, it's never packed. I love it. Don't get me wrong. I love it. I never want to see that go away. But it's never packed.
Holidays.
Oh, all right, holidays. But you know what? There's no wait there. You could go there. When's the next show? Right now. Go on in.
Hey, Star Tours is hit or miss.
Yeah, Star Tours is hit or miss. I've gone there where there's no wait. I've gone there where I've had to wait
45
hours. So
yeah. But then you wait a little bit. It'll be back down to 10 minutes.
I think if any park needs something more, let me rephrase that because I want to ask you guys first. What park of all 4 parks do you think needs the most attention right now to add something?
Hollywood Studios.
Animal Kingdom.
In some ways, in some ways, I think Epcot from an attraction perspective, but between Animal Kingdom and Hollywood Studios, boy, I mean, there's a lot that's been done to Hollywood Studios, but it's also not a very big footprint to begin.
No.
Yeah, so I think there's enough of a need in general, but I think I would lean to Hollywood Studios.
I agree, and for everything you said, I do think Epcot could use another attraction, or a reimagination of the Imagination Pavilion, or both. I think Animal Kingdom needs to add a couple of things too, but I think there's enough. You know what? I think with Animal Kingdom, there's enough to do there for a full day that people don't take advantage of.
Right, the Maharaja Jungle Track, the Gorilla Falls Trail. Yeah.
The petting zoo.
Yep.
The train
that never gets used.
Yeah.
It is so quiet. I've seen people go, "What is that?" Okay, forget it.
Yeah, we've talked about that. That's for sure.
Yep. Yeah. But I think I think that's why my expectation was nothing was going to be announced for Hollywood Studios, because they just, when I say just, I mean in recent history, they've added Star Wars Land, they've added Toy Story Land.
They've put so much investment in there already. Yeah.
You know,
all you have to do is look at the Genie Plus, guys. Look at the price of Genie Plus. Number 1 is the Magic Kingdom. Number 2 is Disney Hollywood Studios. You know they're drawing the people in if those are the top two, how much people are paying for it. Then you get to Epcot, and then Animal Kingdom is the lowest of the low. People are not buying Genie Plus at Animal Kingdom. Are they not going? They need to get a bigger draw to get them in there.
Yeah. Well, I think they're going to rectify that with Animal Kingdom in the future. I'm not even going to say near future, but in the future. Epcot, I think you'll see a big change in Epcot in a year or so, but is that enough?
Yeah. Well, there are a lot of things that had been planned for Epcot that fell off the table.
Right.
Yep.
When the pandemic came along.
Yeah. If the only two parks Disney owned were Disneyland and Disney World, or resorts, I should say, and there were no, and if, let's say, even if the meat outs, they had Disney Studios, Pixar, Star Wars, Marvel, and nothing much else, they might have, and the crowds were coming, and I know this is all hypothetical, they might have had the money to keep expanding, but you know what? They're not a government where they can just keep printing money to get things done. So they've got to pick and choose where they're going to put things, how they're going to do it, and when. It's very strategic planning. And while we may feel Disney World is getting neglected compared to some other parks, they can't. They've got to spread the wealth. They can't put it all in one place.
When you relate it, if you want to relate it to something else, back in the 2000s, early 2000s, NASCAR was on a huge boom. Sponsorship money was everywhere. Now that sponsorship money is drying up, and that's where Disney's running into problems. Disney wasn't paying for a lot of those attractions that were being built. He had sponsorship help that was building them. Country Bear Jamboree presented by Pepsi Cola. I still have that album before it went away. Kodak sponsored the Imagination Pavilion. GM is still with Test Track.
Yeah. Now, do you think Disney hasn't tried to get the sponsorship? I don't believe that's the case.
I just don't think it's out there.
I agree with you.
I don't think the money is available right now.
Yep, I agree. And I think it hasn't been out there for several years. I think the people that were sponsoring a lot of these attractions weren't seeing the return on their investment.
What about Imagination Pavilion sponsored by Apple?
Yeah, that would work. But will Apple do it?
But what does Apple need to sponsor something is the problem.
Yeah,
they spend their money somewhere else, and that's what happened with NASCAR.
Yeah.
It's you look at all these streaming services that are out there and how they're advertising, and well, no, let me go back. I have a better example. If you look at all the content creators on YouTube, that are getting sponsorships for their shows.
Right.
Well, the corporations and the businesses that are sponsoring these YouTube shows are finding it. Some of these YouTube shows are reaching more people for less money than advertising elsewhere. And they only have a certain amount of money to spread around for advertisement.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I think that's the trap Disney fell into with these sponsorships. It's, they weren't as viable. You still have stadiums that are sponsored, but
it's not so much a trap as an evolution.
Yeah, right.
Right. And again, even with NASCAR, again, went from Winston Cup to Nextel Cup to Sprint Cup to, on and on. And now they have 4 sponsors to spread it out.
Yeah.
So depending on the time of year, they're sponsored by Coca-Cola, Xfinity. I can't even remember the other 2 people that they're sponsoring them. Okay. But it's the same thing. And that's what happens. Disney, where they used to get the sponsorship. Well, if you're Coca-Cola, you're the exclusive Coca-Cola, the exclusive drink of Walt Disney World. Now you can't get money from Pepsi anymore. You can't get Mountain Dew in there anymore or anything like that as a sponsor for something.
But you know what Disney could do? And they may have already thought of this. Almost every attraction has a gift shop attached to it. Well, why not allow some of the percentage drawn from that gift shop go back to the sponsor as a way of saying thank you for helping us build this attraction? I don't know if it's profitable to do that for the sponsor. I don't know if it's profitable for Disney. Well, they would be losing money doing that.
It depends. It depends on what they're actually selling. Because if they're selling some type of, like if it was a Coca-Cola product, they're getting licensing rights for that already anyways.
Right.
So they are getting money back if that was the situation where it was.
GM has their paraphernalia in the shop at the test track.
So GM is getting their cut.
Yeah. So there's synergy there. They're not, Disney's not giving their money to GM, but both
synergy.
Disney and GM are pulling money as a result of the people being there.
Well, just off the top of my head now, thinking this through, are there enough products out there where maybe Disney and a sponsor could do a co-license of something, whether it's plush animal or something else? I'm sure they exist, but where they could split the profits. Like you might have a Mickey Mouse Coca-Cola plush or a Disney or a Coca-Cola bottle with Disney figures on it. That becomes a collector's item then.
We'd have to go into the Coca-Cola store to see what they have.
Yeah, I don't recall anything Disney related in there, but
well, they used to have the Coca-Cola bottle that on the side it would say "Meet you at the Magic Kingdom, meet you at the castle." Mm-hmm. I still have a couple of them. I don't have them here; they're upstairs.
I think they could more easily commingle the parks and the sponsor than Disney IP and the sponsor.
Yep.
Correct.
Putting Mickey Mouse and Coca-Cola together, or a Pixar character and GM together. They have to be a little more careful. I'm not saying they can't do it, but it's another level.
I believe I'm holding a test track car, a little tiny one. Mm-hmm. I believe when I bought this, somewhere on there was a little GM sticker on it, which means GM got their cut.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see it on here now. It just says Disney on the bottom, but I believe somewhere on here when I bought it, it did say GM.
You know what they need to do? They need to get back to attraction specific T-shirts, and if there's a sponsor to that
There's
attraction,
a couple of those.
Yeah, there aren't as many as there used to be. I would like to see attraction specific T-shirts that you can only get at that attraction. That if there's like with Test Track, if there's a sponsored by GM, have the GM logo somewhere on there along with Test Track. I would buy that in a second.
I would, but you got to be careful because some of the stuff that they did, they retroed it back to 1971, which that's not a style I want to wear. So I was like, okay, you went too far. So if they could do it where it's a more modernized style or something where it's like Ride the Railway. I love that shirt. I need to know when it's too small, but I love that shirt where it's more of like the classic, what am I trying to say? The preview posters, kind of like that on the shirt.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I loved that stuff, and that's hard to find now. Now they're taking things to the nth degree. They're trying to get too hip, and when you start doing that, it gets too niche.
Yeah,
because it's just not. That's what's popular today. It may not be popular next season.
correct.
So they need so something that's more traditional that would sell, like the original World of Motion, just something like that. The poster on a shirt, something like that.
Yep.
Like that, because I know they had like the posters for the Pirates of the Caribbean, something like that. That design on the shirt. Those are the type of things I'd love to see. The original, like I said, this test track shirt, they had those out there because I remember those. They were just, but it was like it was a plain white shirt and then the car on there. They could have changed it up a little bit so that the shirt had a little bit more to it, and then the test track car on it, or have it in action or something like that. But
yeah, do you guys? Yeah, I agree with you, Kurt. They could have done a lot of things like that. Now, do you guys see? And Darlene, I'm going to ask you this first. Do you see next year's D23 convention in Anaheim building upon what they did this year and getting more next year? You know, more concrete announcements, along with the maybes, possibly, could be.
Yes, I do, along with making announcements more for California next year.
Yeah.
Building out more
I do.
California.
I do see them expanding on, you know, different things, or what the Imagineers have come up for that they've got in line right now for the attractions that they're making the changes to.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that'll come. The California D23 is a lot bigger than this one.
Yep.
And that's where they make most of them. They do this down here. So because there's so many people that can't fly out to California, they do this for us down here. I mean, I wish I could have went, but I can't, you know, I mean.
You know, you brought up a good point, and I'm going to elaborate a little bit on it. The Disney World Destination D23 convention is supposed to be the off year, where not many announcements are made, where it's supposed to be you go, you meet, you greet, you have fun, you see a little bit of a glimpse into the future, and that's really it. So I think next year is a make or break year for Disney, for the Disney parks. And when I say make or break year, I mean, I'm expecting something on a humongous level. And it may not be at Disney World, it could be Disneyland, but I do expect something that will get the fans super excited next year. And I did not expect that this year, nor did we get that this year.
But if they talked about the expansion in Magic Kingdom more concretely next year, I think that fit right into what you're saying.
Yep, and they might, you know, or it could be more.
I think they have to.
You know, this could have been a tease for Animal Kingdom for next year's announcements.
I think they had to announce as much as they announced this year.
Because of last year.
Because you were so upset about what happened last year. And you weren't the only one.
I was not the only one.
I mean, I'd almost say disgusted by the lack of news. There were so many people upset about, what about us? What about us? So this year, really, they had to say something.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was looking for something over there that was GM related, and it didn't say GM on it. So
that's right.
That backfired. But yeah, I think that
no pun intended.
No pun intended. Yeah. So electric cars don't backfire. But anyway, yeah, they had to say something just to appease the masses, especially considering where they were. Oh man, and could you imagine being at Walt Disney World and not making any announcements? They wouldn't have gotten out of there alive.
Well,
So
and
this
it's
is
not
2
just
years in a row hearing nothing.
it's not just the fans. It's it's the financial sectors and the investors
Right.
too.
Well, this goes back to what I said earlier, where for those watching us, Disney's making Disney fans, or let me rephrase. I'm going to do it reverse this time. Disney's announcements are down here, where the fans' expectations are up here, but they have to meet. Now, if you realize that this was Disney World and this is the off-year convention, it should have been relatively like this a lot closer.
A little closer.
Like, to what the expectations of the fans were. And I think it's the fans that are more out of sync with Disney than Disney is out of sync with the fans.
Well, yeah. So what? That's a huge discussion topic. We're not going to get.
We're not going to get. No. We're not getting.
Right.
But all I'm saying though is, it's important to remember that the number of people attending the event is infinitesimal compared to the number of people visiting the parks.
Right.
However, those people that are attending are evangelists for the product and for the parks to share what they're seeing with everybody else. So there's a give and take and a push-pull there from both sides.
The numbers also aren't as big that are attending this one as the
Correct.
as the number.
Oh yeah, as compared to California.
Yeah. Again, they expanded California to a week for a reason, because they can get the money for it.
Mm-hmm.
People will, if you build it, they will come. If we extend it, they will come, and it's going to be quite expensive.
I think
to do everything.
I think doing it for a week. Well, I think they should do. How many days is it next year? 5 days.
I believe it's 5 days. It starts at a baseball game, if I remember correctly.
I think they could go to 6 days, maybe even 7 comfortably, and I think they would do very well.
They need the actor strike and the writer strike to be over, so that they can actually promote things, or else they're not going to get very far with that. Yeah, now they have a year to get that done, but
I think they will. I think you'll see within the next couple of months. I think you'll see a settlement.
I agree.
Do I know? Nothing. It's just my guess.
I'm sure that kind of put a damper on some of the things that they wanted to announce this year, even.
Right.
We really can't talk too much about what's happening on the streaming, because there's no one here to help promote that with the streaming.
Yeah. If you want to take the good from the announcements, you've got Test Track, you've got even the meet and greets, which is like the most minor of, it's some things to look forward to. So there are things to look forward to over the next year and beyond. Mm-hmm. I think the fans that are going to these events have to come to the realization they're not going to get everything they want. And actually, let me rephrase that again. They shouldn't go into it looking for Disney to meet a high standard. They should go in there looking to have a good time, and whatever Disney gives them, if you're not happy with it, sure, let them know, but don't go in there, with these expectations that they're going to build a 5th park tomorrow. It's not going to happen.
Hey guys, the Fantasyland expansion in 2013 looks nothing like what they announced it was going to be.
Yeah. They did not include anything for boys then. It was everything.
Yeah, correct. It was all princess and fairies.
Yeah.
And we're like, aren't you excited about that? And we're like, why? I've got 2 boys. They care less. Yeah. I brought it up and they're like, why would I go to the new Fantasyland?
Yeah, exactly.
It was not enticing for everybody. Correct. So that's why when they're tossing these ideas out of, this is what we're thinking about doing, it's that blue sky to, hey, the fanatics will let you know you're crazy. Why would you do that? Hey, you're thinking about using Encanto and Indiana Jones? Well, did it go over well or not? Indiana Jones, even though the movie didn't do as well as it should have, I enjoyed it. And it's still, that franchise is very popular. So even though the movie, the last 2 movies, those first 3 are a huge franchise, what am I trying to say? They'll bring people in. So they're just kind of getting feelers to say, hey, will this still work? And if they get a lot of buzz out of it, you watch, you're going to see that's going to come in. The whole thing with Encanto, how are they going to use that? What are they going to do with it? I don't know. I mean, are they going to do something with a house that's possessed? I don't know how to describe Encanto.
We brought this up before, and I think Disney needs to do something along this line. I think they need to create an attraction that is not based on a movie.
Yeah.
It could be within an existing building. That doesn't matter. That the character or characters within that attraction will relate to the guests going through it, that maybe at some point could become a movie, rather than doing what they've been doing lately is like, let's have a hit movie or and make an attraction out of it.
Again, the Jungle Cruise, yes, it's loosely based off of the African Queen. There's your idea. Here, let's just base something very loosely off of this, and let's go with it. And just, it doesn't have to be
right.
This is going to sound bad because they took the Country Bears and made it into a movie, and they told them just do whatever you want. And it was a horrible movie. But so it doesn't have to be, oh, this is going to be great because this. Hey, the Black Hole was horrible, and they made it because of Star Wars.
Yep.
It didn't work.
But there's a lot of copy. When one film production company comes out with a hit movie, they all copy that genre, and some do it well and better than the original, and some fail miserably.
Megalodon.
So we don't know what the future holds with Disney, but we do know there is a future. The parks will evolve as Walt wanted them to. Maybe not as fast as you or I may want them to, but they will evolve. You know what? There are people that are probably screaming like they did with Maelstrom. You're taking away. It's tough to be a bug. It's a bug's like whatever it is, and you're giving us. Yeah, and you're giving us Zootopia. I'm sure there are people out there screaming about that. That's what happens. Look, we lost Mr. Toad's Wild Ride here in Florida, and you still
rest in peace.
California. Same thing with Snow White's Scary Adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Lost that too. But progress.
The Mickey Mouse review.
Yeah.
Which no one else remembers except for me.
Toontown.
Yeah, Toontown is still out there in California, not here. But you know what? That's a good thing. And the reason I say that is because it'll give you the incentive to visit the left coast,
right?
Not the right coast.
This was Disney's Toontown Fair. That's Disney's Toontown.
Okay.
It wasn't, whatever.
Darlene, it's no big deal.
The houses were cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
All right. Anyway.
We walk through it all the time.
Anybody want to add anything else before we end the show this week?
Well, I just wanted to say, you were saying, why don't they come up with something, like for the movies before they formed the Jungle Cruise before the movie came out. Back then, things were a lot different than they are now.
Yep, that's true. I think the Imagineers have to be given the freedom, and I think some of it may have been taken away from them, not by Iger, but I think they need to be given the freedom to create the way they want to create. Because, if you put restrictions on someone's ideas, you're not going to get the best ideas. And I think Iger is moving back to letting the Imagineers be the Imagineers. And I think we're going to see a lot of good things coming in the future. As long as they're given their freedom to create. And it's all about creating for our imaginations through their imagination.
They need to take a walk through the warehouse and start looking at some 3D models. Because they're in there still.
You know what? They may have already done that.
They are in there still, and I want one of those models. So,
yeah, part of Disney's success is where Walt created the very beginning and start of Disneyland and where he brought it to and where Roy took over. And I think they've got to look back to the future and bring the past ahead.
You and Marty McFly.
Yeah.
That's over that Universal Park.
But it's like what Kurt's saying, you can get some ideas from the past and bring them forward to the future. And it doesn't mean you're recreating what happened in the past, but you're using every source that you have available to create something new for future guests in the parks.
I agree.
All right. Anybody want to add anything else? Then we are done. I hope everybody has a great rest of the week, a great weekend, and we'll see you here again next week with the next edition of the WDW Fans On Show. So until then, everybody be safe, be yourself. Bye-bye.
Good night, everybody.
Well, we talked a lot tonight about some of the inspiration behind some of the changes, so I'm inspired to share that it's fun to be free, to be on the move, to go anywhere with ever a care to. We hope that you care to come back, not just anywhere, but back here next week. Have a great week. See ya.
Have a magical night. Stay safe. Please pack your sunscreen and a rain poncho.
Wait, don't go yet. Don't go yet, everybody. I forgot something.
Oh.
I did forget something, and it's really important. We don't care, but YouTube cares. Apple Podcasts cares, and wherever else we can be found care. They really do. They want us to be reached by more people. And how do you do that? By giving us a thumbs up and liking the show.
Yes, please.
Spread the word, spread the wealth, and that's it.
We don't get paid for this.
No, we don't.
Just get views.
Yep. All right. Good night, everyone.
Night.
Bye.
Bye.